expression of love and light. Integrating this conscious unity into the galactic paradigm. So welcome all, both terrestrial beings and galactic beings as one. So be it. You're listening to Revolution Radio.
If you think for 1 second that the Capitol will ever treat us fairly, you are lying to yourselves. Because we know who they are and what they do. This is what they do, and we must fight back. You can torture us and bomb us. Fire is catching. And if we burn, you burn with us.
Good evening.
Are you awake yet? I hope. We've tried and we've tried for years and years to use passive resistance and loud voices to make a change. But time is over. Your governments around the world have no other goal than to decimate your entire existence at the hands of the bankers and the elites. The war is coming, and it's your choice to decide if you want to be a warrior or a victim. Denial is not a choice anymore. Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com, the #1 listener-supported radio station on the planet. Not giving up. Revolution Radio. All right. Thanks for listening while we took that short break here at Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com. And now we're going to get back to your host.
And we're back here on the Watchman on the Wall broadcast. I'm the Watchman here on freedomslips.com, freest place to be, revolution.radio, the largest listening supported audience on the face of the earth. And we're glad that you have been such a great audience, folks, to be able to support this network and keep it robust and strong and just financially healthy. But we definitely are needing more support just to keep all the Delta servers and everything going so great with Mr. Rowe and Monster 383 and all those that help in the tech department, all the management, as aforementioned, their names, as well as a Mad Painter and Lady Horse and Willow and Mitchell Bupp and John Wayne. I mean, you can go on and on, Pat Rabbit. I mean, we got a crew that probably is unparalleled in any alternative network on the face of the earth. And, of course, Willow, can't forget her incredible voice, poetry, emotion. So we got so many talented individuals on this network, incredible management, incredible hosts, co-hosts, producers, and guests. And see, we've got just probably carte blanche, red carpet guests galore all over Studio A, Studio B. So go to the Patreon section of the Freedom's Lips, the revolution.radio.com website. Support monthly. You can donate, one-time gift, however you like. The archives are free, so freely have received, freely give, and keep them that way. If you give more, obviously you get more. And if you don't want to, if you want to get a T-shirt, you want to get something for your money right away too, besides all the free stuff you're getting on the air, there's a lot of ways to support. And Matt Painter's a great artist. He's got great offerings in that section of the Patreon, and also the Chatsy, as well as the Zazzle store. So there's many ways to support the network, and just do it as you feel comfortable and led. But my guest today here on the second hour on the Watchman on the Wall broadcast, we are really honored to have, and I'm just grateful to have an individual of this caliber to come on the air with me. I mean, little old me. I'm just really happy today to have first-time guest. I'll read a little bit about my guest. But in a world where there's big corporations and the corrupt mainstream media strive to mute the voices of people who use rationale, objective thought, my guest, Brandy LOU, is often referred to as the voice of reason. She's on a mission to empower others to observe and research and learn what is really going on in the world, not just accepting things under pressure to conform to societal pressures, but Brandy's professional background is in educating children, developing programs for them, and supervising and training the staff that work within those programs. And she has provided years of opportunities, and those programs have provided years of opportunities to observe societal changes that deeply indoctrinate children and coerce parents to support societal behaviors that chip away at the very core of our country's values and morals and moral fibers and standards. Media controllers are working hard to permanently eliminate common sense among all societies and cultures through research, communication, and advocacy. Brandy is committed to use common sense, logic, and rational thought to encourage others in the importance of our shared duty to oppose and fight against corruption. Brandy LOU is a co-host of Into the Microcosm on Revolution.radio and Aftermath Radio. She is currently writing a novel that highlights the challenges of navigating today's world while living with a chronic disability. And so without any further ado, we want to welcome Brandy LOU, co-host of Into the Microcosm. Brandy, thank you for joining. It's an honor to have you for the first time here on the Watchman on the Wall broadcast. How are you doing today?
I am well, and it's an honor for me to be here. My goodness, what a great introduction, and that pretty much says it in a nutshell. So
well, I'm honored again, and I just noticed that you're writing a book. We talked about the other day some of what you're involved with, and I admire what you're doing. But tell us about this book you're writing and the intention behind it, as we mentioned.
It's kind of a surprise. I guess I've always felt like I had a book in me, but every book that I started didn't go anywhere. This one is, and I think because maybe it's very personal, because I do struggle with a chronic illness that essentially left me unable to work. And I think everybody in life has a time either they've experienced or probably will experience where things just pretty much go out of control. You know, the unexpected happens and you either face it and grow from it, or you let it get you down. And I'll just put it this way. I found myself injured from work. It was a negligent situation. And because I lived in a state at that time that required you to basically sue to get any kind of coverage for the work injury, I had to go sue them, and they actually fired me when I went out on disability. It was supposed to be a temporary disability. It was a very ugly situation, all very, very surprising, but I found myself out on my patio, which was in front of I had this really cute little 500 square foot converted garage that I was living in with no storage or anything. And basically, they helped me clear out the office, bring it all on the patio, and they left me standing there with an very seriously injured back and all my stuff around me.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. How is your back doing right now?
Oh, it's great. It's every once in a while that kind of gives me problems, but that doesn't end up being the illness. But basically, I looked up at the sky. As I looked up at the sky, it started to rain, and I just cried, and I said, Lord, help, just literally help. What am I going to do? Right after I said it, that changed to, what are you going to do? Mm-hmm. What are you going to do? Because I want to be able to say on the other end of this that you helped. And I said, help again. And I heard somebody say my name. I turned. My neighbor, who normally would be at work at that time, heard the whole thing. He said, what is going on? Do you know, he got all that stuff safely inside for me. I didn't have to lift a finger. And from then on, it's just been a series of watching and waiting. And that's what I want people to understand. Mm-hmm. Ask for what you need, watch and wait, and giving glory for it is really important too. Because like I told the Lord, I want to be able to say that you helped me. And he did, and he does.
Yes,
and that's
indeed.
why I'm here today. And the book chronicles kind of what happened after that. Is I actually found that I was just getting sicker and sicker and sicker and less able to do things. Went on a 12-year journey to figure out what was wrong, and it ended up being an autoimmune illness, which is actually very common these days. The one that I have isn't, but I had wanted to open a bakery, and physically I couldn't do it. I was working for a bakery, loved the work, and felt like this is something I would love to do, but physically I was not going to be able to do it. As I started journaling about it, the book started. So this book really is about how to face what's going on. And in the story, she doesn't know what's wrong either. So it's not me. The book is not me, but I can really identify with this character. And I think it's something that everybody can identify with in a way, because like I said, we all go through things, whether it's chronic illness or mental illness, there's a lot of that, or just stress, relationship problems, career problems, whatever it is, we all go through stuff. And it's my hope that something could be encouraging. And I do plan to put some devotionals in there along with it too, to kind of help lead and guide and just encourage people. Yeah, that's really been
awesome. You're very, very spiritual woman. It's refreshing to see your boldness and not being timid about it. You're very refreshing to hear. It's very refreshing to hear that from you.
Well, God deserves it. He deserves it because, like I said, he was very faithful and very helpful when I asked for it. I mean, that was quick. I had hardly had it out of my mouth, but what my neighbor was right there helping. So that said a lot to me. And I think that God's there for us a lot of times when we don't even give him credit for it, or we don't notice. We need to start noticing, especially in these days, because the evil it's pervasive, and I don't mean to sound like an evangelist here. I'm definitely not, and I'm definitely not any kind of prophet or anything. I'm everybody out there.
But you had a dream. You were telling me just the other day about how you believe the Most High gave you this dream. And after you telling me that, I definitely got a witness in my spirit. It's dead on right. You could just see it being fulfilled. Now, after a year, and I know you were kind of tentative, but then after a year, you realize, hey, it's ready to come out public. Can you tell our audience about this dream that the Most High gave you?
Yes. So
this whole coronavirus pandemic.
The whole thing. The Lord has always helped me personally by helping me understand when things, some things were coming, and he would speak to me through dreams. And sometimes these dreams are really far out, and it's like, what was that? And as time goes by, it'll make sense. So this dream that I had was a couple of months before the pandemic started. And I was driving down two different freeways that are out near where I live. I live in the Dallas area. It was the middle of the day, bright and sunny, and all along the road, we're the Bible Belt here, but all along the road on both sides of the freeway were all these churches.
Church on every corner, right?
There are churches everywhere. So, you look left, you look right, they're kind of there. You've got some big ones, you've got some little ones. These churches were destroyed. They were just absolutely, some of them completely obliterated, like a tornado had come through, but some were burned. And then every once in a while, you'd see this little teeny tiny church that you could tell wasn't real well kept up, but it looked loved, would be okay. And then I went on another freeway, same thing. And the thing about it is there was nobody out on the road. It was dead.
This is a couple months before this March 11th official pandemic began, folks. Go ahead.
Yeah. It's probably around, I want to say November of 2019. Probably around.
So we're talking 4 months prior.
Yeah. So I had also, I didn't make any connection to this, but I just had this knowing in my spirit, something's coming. Something is going to happen. In fact, I had mentioned to a couple of people in our chat room there over in the microcosm when we were having one of our shows that something's coming. And somebody else to me said, yeah, I feel it too. Don't know what it is. And I didn't talk to a lot of people about it. I told my family. I'd mentioned it to these people in the chat room. And, that was it. Other than that, I just kind of kept asking, what is it, Lord? Help prepare us. Just maybe be ready. When the whole pandemic thing really kicked in, I was like, you know what? I'm sure that was it. But what was great about having this knowingness, I was more prepared. How could you be really prepared for what happened, and what's happening? But I was more prepared just having this knowingness. And, we can all have that. We may not know exactly what's going on, but we can have just the confidence, that God's going to be there with us to take us through it. And that's what I really felt about this. Yeah, and then the two tied together. And then I realized, that dream, oh my gosh, God is doing a work here, because we do have a lot of churches, not all, but a lot, that are not there for the right reasons. They're running it like a corporation, maybe taking in lots of money, maybe not doing the right things with them. And the Lord's tearing down the false churches, tearing down the churches that are not being obedient, not serving, and not using the resources and that which has been gifted to them in the right way. I mean, when's the last time that we really saw our community being supported in really significant ways by the churches? That's gotten taken away in a lot of ways, because the government is seen as being the caregiver, is seen as being the one to provide benefit or to provide, food and shelter and all those things. And I was having a conversation with some people a few weeks ago, and basically they were saying, well, the government's supposed to take care of us. Why is this being allowed to happen? Blah, blah, blah. And I went, wow, it's really pervasive. We need to fix this. We, as community members, we need to fix this. And it's going to take every one of us.
Right.
We can't look at each other and say, you need to do, or they need to do, or, well, that church over there has all this money and they need to. No, this is a shift in thinking. It's a big paradigm shift. We got to get off our butts and start making meaningful change, drawing our communities closer together. And that grassroots effort right there.
Absolutely. Always grassroots.
Yeah.
Always a grassroots level. You make a difference. Everything else you can't even touch, it seems like.
Right. And you're just hitting up against fences and against things that are established. So we're going to have to kind of work our way under that fence again, get back into the areas that we need to be in. And it's knocking on your next door neighbor's door and bringing them some cupcakes or, diet soda or whatever. Get to know your neighbors. And that's really important right now, too, because we have had the experience of seeing what's it going to be like if things shut down.
That's
and
right.
here in
Good
Texas,
points.
everything did shut down for a few days. And we lost our power. We lost gas lines. We lost the water. It was crazy. So
yeah, it was a weather weapon they released on you guys, HARP and gals. I mean, they had to do something because there's so much talk about Texas seceding from the Union. They don't want that, obviously, the feds. They don't want that, right? Just blast them with some cold, single-digit weather, right, Brandy? How did you survive that?
Let's freeze us out. Well, we were blessed because where we live, we didn't actually lose electricity for the whole time, but I have friends who were out for 5 or 6 days. We lost our water for a while. We lost electricity for a while. But it wasn't easy. At one point in time, it was 29 degrees in our house.
Oh wow! So you didn't get to the single digits like Houston area did.
No, inside the house, it was 29 inside.
Oh wow! So outside,
it was -9 outside.
Okay, well I apologize. You did get the single digits and below freezing, below zero.
Yeah. You could see our breath in our house. And so
it's, again, HARP, weather weapons, folks. Look it up, HARP with 2 A's. It's funny how they disguised it now with, remember the Obama administration when they would do the HARP mortgage program to get you confused to think there was no such thing as a HARP weapon from Ohio and Alaska. Oh, that's conspiracy theory, Watchman. Would you ever think about that, Brandy, how they kind of disguise things like that?
Yeah, I did think about that, and I thought it was really stupid. But I noticed that mortgage thing is gone, so it's like
it's gone. But Biden's back in.
But it's kind of dumb because, well, it's really stupid actually, because in doing that, what happens is people see something like that. They go to investigate it, and it opens up these doors for them to see, wait a minute, there's another meaning here. I never heard about that. Ooh, I think I'll go investigate. So they're actually,
play with the words. Yeah. Play with the meanings, right?
Let's go do that. Yeah.
You really are talented. I've noticed also that you also sing and play piano. Tell us, our audience, about that a little bit. Anything recorded or anything? Yeah.
I had an opportunity to go professional back when I was younger, and it was something I always thought I felt called to do, and I know that I could have done it, but when it came time, I really asked, is this what I want to do? Is this what I'm supposed to do? And interestingly, it became very clear to me, I can if I want. If I don't want to, it's okay, because there's other things I can do. I always felt torn between children and music. Children and music.
Maybe a children's choir or something.
Well,
or a chorale,
and that's what I kind of did, is I did, music with children and teaching. And, of course, I did music with children and taught the people that I supervised and trained how they could incorporate music in. So I was still doing it. And so I kind of got to make that choice, I felt like, and it was the right choice, because I really was afraid of losing the love and the passion for it if I went professional, because it can be very cutthroat. It can be very difficult. It can be a hard life. And in the end, it was a perfect.
Well, you don't give up, because I know Jimmy plays a mean bass, and I know Rock and Rio's a musician, and Epic Journeyman's. I mean, you guys got a great crew. I mean, you and Jimmy and the rest of the guys, I mean, you guys have a great chemistry. I wanted to also get that in, because I really enjoy you guys' broadcast.
It's a really great group of guys, and I learned something new every time I talk to any one of them. And just, it's like any subject you pull out of a hat, at least one of them, but usually all of them they're gonna know. And we've got Giuseppe also.
I played some of his clips. Thanks, Dr. G. I've had him on a few times on the broadcast. Great guy.
Yeah. So it's been a great experience. And piano, I play piano as well, and have had the opportunity to direct a choir for a church choir for a few years. And boy, you have had what do I want to say? I never felt fear quite the way I felt fear the night when the soundtrack stopped working, right when we were going into an a cappella part. So not only was the soundtrack dead, but it was the part where the music stopped. And I looked at that choir, and I mouthed with the biggest mouthing I could do, "Watch me."
You weren't going to lip sync. You were going live, right?
Oh my gosh. It was, I mean, this was, the first night. And I was like, oh, Lord, help me. But I knew every beat, every timing, every note of every part of every instrument that was in that soundtrack. So I could hear it in my head. And so they watched me. And do you know, those people came in on cue, on the right note, right at the right time. And what was really funny is they filmed the whole thing, and the camera's on me, and you can see these big beads of sweat just pouring down my face. But, again.
I got to get the video. Send me the video. I got to see that. Film at 11. Brandy LOU's rocking the stage right there.
Oh, my goodness. And all these things we learn. We learn and we grow. And that's what I'm talking about, is pay attention. Just anything that we're doing can be an opportunity to grow us and stretch us. And it really did. But bottom line, even if it hadn't worked out, what's the worst that's going to happen? I'm going to have to say cut, wait a second for them to get the soundtrack fixed, and we'll start over.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's life.
It's reality TV, right?
It is.
It's real. It's life. Stuff happens, man.
Stuff does happen. So it's how we handle it. And that's kind of what I'm all about, what I really just hope to be an encourager and that voice of reason of, look, it's going to be okay. We've got this. We're going to make it through. And, even with all the stuff that's going on in our world right now, we can each make a difference Maybe it's not in a huge way every day. Maybe it's just in a little way, but that's okay. A bunch of little things, butterfly effect.
Yeah.
We need to keep that in mind.
If the little foxes can spoil the vine, then just can you imagine just a little amount of people gathering together for positive effect? How we could all make a restoration better word than change, right?
Right. Just
we all want to be restored. We want to be restored to, natural law. Common law really natural law. There is no crime unless there is an injured party or an injured property of that party. I mean, everything else is fake, phony, and false. There is no crime. It's all fake, right? Would you agree?
Right. You have to measure things. You have to weigh things and really realize, okay, what's really important here? What is important to me? What are my values here? What do I want? And it's
right.
in touch with ourselves in that sense. And for me, and in the tone of really the show that you're doing, for me, it's about how can I be a witness to that? How can I be a testimony to that in what I'm saying and in what I'm doing, even in just those little ways, and then sometimes the big ways.
Mm-hmm.
I like to say I want to be available.
Absolutely, and you are definitely welcome here on the Watchman on the Wall broadcast. We're visiting with Brandy LOU, co-host with Jimmy Jean, Into the Microcosm broadcast on Fridays and Mondays on Studio A. You guys rock the house. You guys into the Aftermath FM now. You guys are really, getting a listening audience. You guys are. What's that like when you got the word that you're going to go into a little different realm now in radio?
Yeah, that was exciting.
All right.
Hold
that thought. We want to hear your thoughts. Brandy LOU's joined us here on the Watchman on the Wall broadcast. Beautiful woman, beautiful spirit, and just an incredible radio co-host. Again, with Jimmy Jean, Into the Microcosms. Mondays and Tuesdays, folks. Check it out. We'll be right back here on the Watchman on the Wall broadcast. freedomslift.com, freest place to be. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. Got a lot to talk with Brandy LOU about still. Shout out to the chat room, freedomslift.com. And Jimmy Jean's YouTube chat room. Shout out!
You're listening to Revolution Radio at freedomslips.com. And we'll be right back after this message.
It is no secret that the so-called mainstream media is best described as controlled propaganda. Countless news stories are either totally ignored or spun with half-truths, and because of this, essential facts and vital information are often compromised. Join Dr. Ott every Friday night on Studio B at 10 p.m. Eastern and learn why The Story Behind the Story was nominated for a Peabody Award in its second year of producing unparalleled broadcasting excellence in 1997. That is, if you really care about learning the truth.
Management would like to take a moment to thank the listeners and hosts for all their support that has made Revolution Radio one of the biggest platforms for free speech in an ever-growing dark world of censorship. Unfortunately, this platform for free speech has never been free. We need the support of the people. It is the people like you, yes, you, that keeps the station in the front lines of the battle against tyranny and oppression. Please help support Revolution Radio so free speech will not be silenced in a world that seems to be going deaf to the real truth. With your support, we will be able to become an even bigger pillar of light in a dark world.
Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com, the number one listener-supported radio station on the planet. Revolution Radio.
Join Revolution Radio every Wednesday, 8 p.m. Eastern Time on Studio B for Momentary Zen with host Zen Garcia at freedomslips.com, the People Station.
Thank you for listening to Revolution Radio at freedomslips.com, the #1 listener-supported radio station on the internet. Please help support this station so this battle can continue forward. Revolution Radio! The opinions expressed on this radio station, its programs, and its website by the hosts, guests, and call-in listeners or chatters are solely the opinions of the original source who expressed them. They do not necessarily represent the opinions of Revolution Radio and freedomslips.com, its staff, or affiliates. You're listening to Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com, 100% listener-supported radio, and now we return you to your host.
And we're back here on revolution.radio, freedomslips.com, freest place to be here on The Watchman, with incredible guest on here on our second hour broadcast, Brandy LOU. She is multi-talented. She's a co-host, again, Into the Microcosm, Mondays and Fridays with Jimmy Jean, and all of their other great co-hosts as well. And it's amazing that you guys, as we were right before the break, you guys just went to another level. You're on Aftermath.fm on Thursdays at 7, Aftermath.fm. Folks, tune in to Jimmy Jean and Brandy LOU and Rockin' Rio and Epic Journeyman, who I had on, who was an incredible, intelligent guy. You guys are all so brilliant, and your IQs go past almost 200 off the charts. Go ahead.
Together or each of
Well, that's a joke. I didn't say that. You did. No, I'm saying individually.
I just had to, though. It was just hanging out there, and yeah. No, it's very unique. What we're doing is cutting edge, and really the credit goes to Jimmy, because he is.
Yeah, he's a maestro, man. He's incredible.
He's super talented with the editing and the engineering and the music and just the timing on things. I mean, I have a little bit of experience with radio, not a lot, but enough to know that I can say with confidence that, yeah, I'm really privileged to be able to work with that talent and with the other guys. And what's really cool is that we can go into a lot of different subjects, and no matter what we're going into, somebody's going to be able to really contribute and give information. And if we're not giving information and we're not interesting, then people aren't going to be there. So we need to do that. Yeah. So.
Yeah, absolutely. I noticed you have a lot of interest, and you've had a lot of activities in animal rescue. Tell our audience about that and how what got you into that.
I've always loved animals. I've always had, pretty much my whole life had animals, but they somehow find me, and my daughter also. She's probably more of a rescuer than I am, but together she lives with us, so we kind of do this together. And because we do live in the country, and it's an area where a lot of animals get dumped, and in fact, cities around us end up dumping things like bobcats and skunks and all different kinds of animals around here. What happens is the little ones, like if cats and kittens and small dogs.
Well, you got 6 cats of your own. You got 4 dogs. It says here.
Yes,
so
I do.
You're definitely active. Go ahead.
6 cats and 4 dogs. The 6 are inside. I've also got one out there that kind of comes and goes. He'll be gone for a few months, and he actually climbs. He climbs in this panel underneath our bathtub, and all of a sudden he'll just appear in the house. And it took us about a year to figure out what was going on. I just kept hearing this noise, and I went in the bathroom, and there he stood. And I'm like, okay, all this time we've been thinking, this cat is magic. This cat, we put him out, and then all of a sudden he's back in the house, and we haven't even opened any doors. It was kind of spooky. But yeah, we finally figured out he'd been climbing in through this little panel, and so now he's taught 2 of our kittens to do it. So that's
Well,
cool.
I used to have 19 cats because we had 5 acres and a ranch, and we had to keep the rats and mice away, and they were the perfect remedy.
Yes.
Circle of life stuff, you know.
That's what ours do as well, and the bugs don't really stand much of a chance, except for flea season, and then we just we nuke them with the flea stuff, but we're the people who, when we see that something's going on with an animal, we're gonna stop. If one's been hit, I'm not gonna let it lie there. I'm gonna even if it's just to hold it while it passes. I've
exactly.
done that a few times, and you have to be careful. You have to be wise about it. But it seems like they just always find us, and but they're like, to me, little angels, and I don't want anybody to tell me that animals don't have a soul, because that will break my heart. Well,
in the Most High's government and His law, He says every living, breathing creature on the earth has a soul, and it does say that, like the old wise adage, all dogs go to heaven. And cats too.
I hope so.
No, indeed. If you look at the Most High Messiah, when He comes back the second time, He's riding from heaven. He's coming down from heaven on a white stallion. So if He's coming down from heaven on a white stallion, where did the stallion come from? With Him from heaven, right?
Well, that's true. Yeah, that's a good point.
So there you go. There's evidence right there for those that doubt that. But yeah, go ahead. Your thoughts on that?
My dream is, at some point in time, either in heaven or when the earth is renewed or whatever, I want to go snuggle a lion. That's my big
lion
dream.
will lay down with a lamb. That's coming soon. Randy.
I heard that lions don't purr. Did you know that?
No, I didn't. That's wow. I didn't know that. Where'd you get that?
Somebody who works with lions.
The Lion King, the lion tamer.
Yeah, I don't know if a lioness will purr. I didn't ask him that, but he said the lion will not purr. So I kind of need to look that up, but that kind of broke my heart too. I thought that would sound really neat. It would kind of rumble,
Yeah, rumble in the jungle, the king of the jungle, the lion, right? So, wow. So then you've really got such a diverse background. I mean, you do a lot of handcrafting. And tell us what this DIY projects is all about that you're involved
in. The do-it-yourself? Well, when you have no money, when you live on a fixed income, because you can't work, you get real creative. And so I do watch YouTube projects, DIYs, and it's, for example, right now I'm building a shelf out of boxes, cardboard, and glue, and it's pretty darn solid. So it's surprising what you can do. And the thing that I like about DIY is it builds your confidence. And it expands just the way your mind works of, hey, I could do this, I could do that, and it's good for us. It's good for us to be creative and to find things that we can do and be successful at, and it encourages our spirit, because we're supposed to be in touch with ourselves and with nature, and like gardening, and that's another thing that I'm going to be doing is gardening. And so just always keeping busy. It's so important not to sit and think too much about stuff. But absolutely. Now,
I know you got a little one around the house. You got a 16-month-old grandson and a daughter. What's that like, having that toddler experience of running around your house now again?
That's been such a blessing, because I was not done with children. She is my only child. She's 25 now, and multiple miscarriages, lots of infertility treatment. And we waited on the list to adopt through the state for over 5 years. It was ridiculous. And so when she finally came along, we had pretty much given up. We didn't think that we would have children. And the fact that I was working with children helped tremendously. But she was like my favorite thing I ever did. And so I always wanted more, but that didn't happen, and that was fine. I accepted that, and joyfully was just so happy to have had the blessing of raising a daughter. And when he came along, it was, my world just flipped upside down. I'll tell you what, anybody who becomes a grandparent knows, it just filled places in my heart that I didn't know I had. And I felt a love that I didn't know I was missing. And it got me closer to God too, because it just, the whole thing of having children, having grandchildren reminds me of our relationship with God. You know, he cares for us and watches over us, and we need to be obedient and follow some rules, you know, and same with the kids. So what
Indeed.
we're doing in caring for the children and raising them up and teaching them and loving them, it's a reflection of our relationship with God. So that's a cool part of it for me as well, because in case you can't tell, I really love God, you know. And
I can tell, and I'm really, you know, you're welcome anytime. Anybody that's got boldness for the faith of their Creator, I'm, you know, of our Creator, I enjoy dialogue totally with that.
yeah, so that's been just a real joy, and I have him a lot of the time because I do take care of him when she's working. And so it's sort of like, I kind of got another kid. It's pretty cool, and it keeps me going. And it is important, you know, anybody who struggles with chronic illness knows that you need to keep busy. You need to keep moving. I mean, unless your doctor's told you not to, but, and that helps because children and animals, they need stuff. So sometimes it's,
Absolutely.
you know, maybe it's just the dog barking to go outside in the morning that's going to get somebody up, and
right.
It's important. So yeah,
absolutely. I enjoyed having the pre-conference call with you as I'm enjoying the live broadcast with Brandy LOU here on Revolution.radio, with the Watchman here on freedomflips.com, and we had that conversation, and I noticed that you stated that, you know, even though you mentioned that you're bold for the Most High, and I am too, and I appreciate that, but you stated, and I'm with you on this, you said, quote, "I detest organized religion in many ways. It's dishonest because it's often owned by the state." And you hit it right on the head. Thank you for that statement.
I do feel that way, and it's kind of a harsh reality. It's kind of a harsh realization for me because I was in church my whole life. As a 4-year-old, I would get up on Sunday morning, get myself dressed, grab a Pop-Tart, and walk to the church around the corner. And I went to church every Sunday. And thank goodness they had children's church because, you know, that's where I went. So I was raised in the church and always very involved. And then as an adult, continued to be very involved. And, you know, I mentioned the choir and children's ministries and all that. So very, very involved. I mean, I worked on a church staff for a while, and things have changed a lot, though. I mean, that's been 25, 30 years ago. And so I'm kind of giving my age away, but that's okay. So it's changed a lot in the sense that it's become so much of a corporate entity.
Right. And what's a corpse, Brandy? What's a corpse? A dead body, right? So a corporation, and the church is incorporated, they're in a covenant of death, and yet they're promoting life. You can't have both, right? Who likes drinking a bittersweet water fountain now?
I never looked at it that way. Yeah. Wow.
It's frequency, vibration, and sound waves. Remember we talked about that the other day.
Words are everything. Yep. Yes, words are everything. And a lot of people may not realize, so I'm going to throw it out there. Go do some research on 501c3. If the audience does not know what that involves and what's attached to it, real important to know, because essentially it means Indeed. The church is not owned by the church, it's owned by the government. And I heard one gentleman say that a pastor he knew got pulled into court for something that happened at the church. The judge said to him, "You're a 501c3, correct?" And he said, "Yes." He said, "Then you have no standing here in this court of law."
Absolutely right.
So it's research it. I encourage the audience to research that, and please don't hate me. You know, first thing.
Good point. You're bringing the truth out, Brandy.
I'm trying. Yeah,
that's the truth. She's saying the truth. The 501c3 is a IRS tax code of a tax exemption. Exemption is a privilege that can be revoked if you violate any public government policy. So when all these pastors that preaching against abortion, saying I'm being persecuted, they're threatening to take my church. Well, guess what? You were a 501c3 licensed minister, lying, sinning, licentiousness preacher, and you're saying you're getting persecuted when in reality you're just violating your contract. Your thoughts?
Right. That's right. And you have to understand what you're signing up for in doing that. And so the question is it worth the tax exemptions or not? Or not exemptions, I'm sorry, but worth not paying taxes.
Right. Why have a tax exemption privilege which can be revoked when you had tax immunity status prior to ass wandering into Satan's kingdom?
Right. You don't have to be set up as a 501c3 to be a church. You don't have to. There are other ways to do it, but that was something that was established with the Johnson Amendment. That's another way to search it out, the Johnson Amendment. And
right, LBJ back in Texas, in your area there, the senator that became the president later, taking over for JFK.
Yeah, it was a trick. It was a sort of a sleight of hand. And, we need to be wise, and we need to not just take things so easily. We need to research things. I mean, my goodness, the information's all, well, right now, but with all the censoring that's going on, it's harder. But basically, information is out there, and we just have to be responsible to go find it.
Exactly. They became the hush money churches, because now that's why you don't hear these speakers or preachers or pastors speak out from the pulpit, because they're pulling you back into their pit deeper in silence, in acquiescence, because they're violating their contract if they speak out. And the privileges, again, can be revoked. And that's why they're afraid. So they're now saying, but give us 10%, send us all your money. But, it's hush money is really what's going on. Brandy, your thoughts on that?
Yeah, that's an interesting way to put it. I think the reason I used the word detest organized religion in some ways is because I think back to, on more than one occasion, bringing, say, the issue of abortion, or the issue of, who would you encourage us to vote for if you were to encourage us, and being told politics has no place in the church. Hello?
Yeah.
I mean, when did we abdicate our responsibility to impart our, the wisdom that we have, the knowledge and the opinions that we have in the public sector? I didn't sign off on that. And I don't want my pastor to sign off on it. So I want to hear words of wisdom and kernels of wisdom, and to be able to disseminate, different pieces of facts and information, and, talk about, well, what about the debate? What did you think about what this one said? What did you think about that one? We need to do that. We need to be free to do that everywhere. And in telling us that we can't because we're sitting in a church, that is so backwards.
Right. I mean,
be able to do that anywhere. So,
well, you mentioned, like when people say, my pastor, it's like saying my master, because I mean, it's all phonetics again. You just substitute, the P with the M. And the Most High said, don't be many masters. He said, I am your king. Don't have an earthly king. And it's not to be just one man speaking only. It needs to be the whole group. If some has a song, a tongue, a revelation, a discernment, a prophecy, everyone has to contribute. That's the body of Messiah, not a one-man band saying it's my way or the highway.
Right.
This is all, legalism. We're called free to be out of the legal system, and including all legalisms, into true, pure judicial state with the Most High.
Right. And one of the things we talked about in the pre-show was the term judgment. And I kind of want to throw that out there too, because what we need to realize is when we say we're judging something or somebody, it doesn't necessarily mean in the sense of how the world looks at, don't judge others, and there's even the Bible verse, judge others lest ye be judged. And well, that's a whole different interpretation and use of it. Judging means really looking at and evaluating a situation and coming up with the best choices and the best actions about that. We must judge, and we can judge without being in that, derogatory, judgmental manner. We don't
the condemning mode. Yeah, we don't condemn. We just judge all things.
Yes, and we need to use discernment, and we need to use our brains and figure out, okay, Is it smart to cover up our mouths and not be able to breathe and smile at people? I mean, in my judgment, no, that's not a, a healthy thing to be doing. But because the government's telling us to do it, well, I don't want to be judgmental. That's what I hear. I don't want to be judgmental of other people. Let's use our heads. So that's another good term. And, there's a lot of words out there that we're not understanding and we're not using properly, and we're being hoodwinked because,
True.
like I said, words are everything, and we live on words and we live by words. If we don't know what they mean, then we can get manipulated so easily.
Absolutely, especially when they keep changing the definitions and meanings of the words every decade, every 5 years, every new Black's Law Dictionary, as I was alluding to earlier.
Right.
So yes, indeed, great points, very salient points. Brandy LOU has joined us here on the Watchman on the Wall broadcast. I'm the Watchman here on freedomslips.com, revolution.radio. And again, we talked during the pre-show a little bit about what you mentioned again, about how the dream you had, and you detailed it beautifully earlier and succinctly, but I believe this has happened. The Most High has allowed all these churches to not just the churches, the synagogues, the mosques, the temples, all organized religion, if you will, has been collapsed, I believe, been allowed by the Most High through this pandemic, scamdemic, if you will, because he's building, before he can build anything back up true, it has to be destroyed, that which is false, which has been all built on a false premise to begin with. Your thoughts?
Absolutely, because anything that needs to be restructured is going to have to be torn down. I mean, it's sort of the analogy of lancing the wound. You have to lance the wound and get all the bad out before it can build up, and and then you get the scar tissue, and you build on that. But it's going to have to be structured properly. So people are going to have to really wake up and understand, what is it we're doing here? What is our goal? Why are we here? Is this a social event? Are we here for all the programs? Are we coming because, we're supposed to? And just, we really got to wrap our heads around and go to the Word, really go to the Word, look at what.
Yes, good point. Go ahead.
Yeah, there wasn't, like you were mentioning yesterday, the church isn't even in the Old Testament, the word church.
Yeah, the word church wasn't the original text, exactly.
Yeah, and the church is not the building, it's the people. So if you take that building away and look at what are the people doing? What are they doing? What are we doing?
Exactly. And all the apostles in the book of Acts went into the houses 2 by 2s. That was the assembly, was the people. And it could be in the Riverside, Ocean View, in your house, could be anywhere. He said, where 2 or 3 are gathered together in my name, there am I in the midst. So I'm really refreshed to hear you're just on top of this knowledge, Brandy, and I appreciate you just coming on the Watchman on the Wall broadcast today.
That's a God thing. It totally, because if you had told me 3 or 4 years ago I would be saying these things, I would have hated me. The things that I'm saying, I would have hated. But it's what has been revealed to me, and that voice of reason just says to me, okay, I'm going to share it. Everybody has to come to their understanding of what they're going to, gather and comprehend. But that's what I see. And I just said, Lord, if you want me to share it, open the doors. And I will walk through them.
It's like the old saying, that's my statement and I'm sticking to it.
Right. Because if you had said to me, again, 3-4 years ago, well, you're going to be on the radio saying these things. Not only would I have not wanted to say them, I would definitely not wanted to say them on the radio. But I'm putting it out there because that's what I feel led to do. And I hope that it helps the people. I hope it inspires people. Mostly, I hope that people will understand that I'm trying to speak truth. And I want you to go check it out. I want you to go find out if what I'm saying is true or not. And you can tell me if you don't think it is, and we can talk about it. You can reach me at brandyvoiceoftruth@aol.com, or come and hang out with us on Into the Microcosm sometime. I'm in the chat room there too. So I want to talk about it.
Absolutely. You hit the point right on, the nail right on the head. The end time message was to come. The Most High Messiah even told us all to come out of her, my people. It's this false organized religious system that's a part of the beast system of man that the Most High said, look, that my people are trapped in there. And he says, come out of her, my people, come out from among them, be separate. Said, yeah, he says, touch not the unclean thing. And he said, I'll receive you into myself as my sons and daughters. So you could be anywhere. You don't got to be religious. You want to be spiritual, but the right spirit, and that is the spirit of the Most High, Yahweh the Messiah. Brandy LOU's joined us here from Into the Microcosm with Jimmy Jean. Incredible broadcast. We've had him as well. Shout out to you, man. Thanks for all your help on your YouTube channel and broadcast, simulcast. And Brandy LOU, man, we'd love to have you back. Would you be open to come back?
Absolutely. It was such an honor and privilege, and I thank you so much for your welcoming me to come, and just for letting me have the opportunity to share.
Anytime. So we just appreciate you. Give the people the contact information once again, Brandy LOU, how they can get a hold of you.
So Brandy, Voice of Reason, at AOL.com.
All right. So Brandy LOU's joined us today. We appreciate her time here on the Watchman on the Wall broadcast on revolution.radio, freedomslips.com. I'm the Watchman, and we, y'all willing, will be back at the same time, same place here on Studio A on revolution.radio, freedomslips.com, freest place to be. If you can't, be outside, you're listening to some good, incredible broadcasts from all the co-hosts and hosts on the network. Studio A, Studio B, 48 hours, like Jimmy Jean likes to say. Both studios, folks, we're blessed to have this platform. Better use it while we have it. Like the old saying, better use it or lose it, right? Huh, Brandy?
That's right.
Okay, folks, thanks again. Brandy LOU has joined us today. We thank her for her time and appreciate all of the listening audience. Come back next week. We'll have a great broadcast for you. It's the conclusion of episode 38 here on the Watchman on the Wall broadcast. Stay tuned for Stephen Crawford.
I'll get out of all your boxes. I'll get out. you can't hold me in these chains, I'll get out. Father, free me from this bondage. Knowing my condition is the reason I must change. Your stinking resolution is no type of solution, preventing me from freedom, maintaining your pollution. I won't support your lie no more. I won't even try no more. If I have to die, oh Lord, that's how I choose to live. I won't be compromised no more. I can't be victimized no more. I just don't sympathize no more. 'Cause now I understand. You just wanna use me. You say love then abuse me. You never thought you'd lose me. But how quickly we forget that nothing is for certain. You thought I'd stay here hurting. Your guilt trip's just not working, repressing me to death. 'Cause now I'm choosing life, yo. I'll take the sacrifice, yo. If everything must go, then go. That's how I choose to live. Okay, we're getting there. At least I had a chunk. Okay, that's how I choose to live. No more compromises. I see past your disguises, blinding through mind control, stealing my eternal soul, appealing through material to keep me as your slave. But I'll get out. Oh, I'll get out of all your boxes. I'll get out. Oh, you can't hold me in these chains. I'll get out. Oh, I want out of social bondage. Knowing my condition, oh, is the reason I must change. See, what you see is what you get. Oh, and you ain't seen nothing yet. Oh, I don't care if you're upset. I could care less if you're upset. See, you don't change the truth. And your hurt feelings no excuse to keep me in this box.
Them again, we will never, never, never trust. Them not know what them do. Dig out your eye while I'm sticking like glue. Blink skin grin while I'm plotting for you. True.
Forgive them, Father, for they know not what they do.
Me, I'm telling them no, no.
Forgive them, Father, for they know not what they do.
For real, them not a clue.
Beware the false motives of others. Be careful of those who pretend to be brothers, and you never suppose it's those who are closest to you. They say all the right things to gain their position. They use your kindness as their ammunition to shoot you down in the name of ambition. They do. Forgive them, Father, for they know not what they do. Forgive them, Father, for they know not what.
Yo, we about to step this one right.
Everything is everything. What is meant to be will be. After winter, must come spring. Change it comes eventually. I wrote these words for
would walk up to me and just be like, what the
see them at first light after a long night and see the sky take shape, but I wanna see the stars burn after I had my turn. And ooh, you're working so hard, you played your card, so what's the payoff? And ooh, big talk is cheap, you gotta go deeper than deep to get me up. If you're picking up my call, come and do your worst, you know that I'm in control. I'm in control. Don't you know I want it all? Put your hands against the wall. I'm in control. I'm in control.
She a tell me she in control of me love. Girl get wet up when me turn her up. Boy, now she go start wind up. Love how she smile when the worm crawl up. Baby, you full of action like Twilight. And you know dead like 9-9, girl. Bubble like champagne or Sprite, girl. All night me a give you love.
You're working so hard, you played your card, so what's the payoff? And big talk is cheap, you gotta go deeper than deep to get me up. If you're picking up my call, come and do your worst, you know that I'm in control. I'm in control. Don't you know I want it all? Put your hands against the wall. I'm in control. I'm in control.
All night me a give you love. Control of me love. Hey girl, make sure you're in control of the boss. Tonight me at the top your shots, I'ma feel like the fat put them in your drawers.
So frightening, face whitening, fear that you can't reverse. My phone has no signal, it's making my skin crawl. The silence is so loud. The lights spark and flicker with monsters much bigger than I can control now. Welcome to the bedroom, where all your darkest fears are
best part about being in the mountains is it's always an adventure.